From the beginning of time, God has been a father, not just a creator, but a loving, waiting, pursuing father. And one of the most powerful stories Jesus ever told was about that kind of love. A love that doesn't give up, even when we walk away. The younger son was restless. He felt a deep yearning within him, a desire that couldn't be quenched by the familiar surroundings of his home. He longed for adventure, for a life free from his father's rules. The thought of exploring new places and meeting new people filled his mind day and night. He craved the excitement of the unknown, the thrill of stepping into uncharted territories. The mundane routine of his daily life felt like a cage. One day, he gathered his inheritance, a small fortune that represented his father's love and provision. It was a significant amount, enough to start a new life. He packed his meager belongings, said goodbye to his family, and journeyed to a distant land. The farewell was bittersweet, but his heart was set on the journey ahead. The world embraced him with open arms. The bustling city streets, the vibrant marketplaces, everything was new and exhilarating. The initial days were a whirlwind of parties and laughter. He quickly made friends who were drawn to his carefree spirit. The young man reveled in his newfound freedom. He danced the nights away, savoring every moment of his liberation. He spent his days indulging in fleeting pleasures, surrounded by people who praised his recklessness. The thrill of living on the edge was intoxicating. Life was a banquet, and he was the guest of honor. Every day was a celebration. Every night, a grand feast. The son felt invincible, his heart brimming with the intoxicating elixir of independence. He believed he could conquer the world. He felt like he had finally found himself, his true identity revealed in the shimmering lights of a distant city. The city became his playground, a place where he could be whoever he wanted to be. He had no time for the past, no need for his father's guidance. He had arrived. He was free. The world was his oyster, and he was ready to seize every opportunity it offered. As weeks turned into months, the son's fortune began to dwindle. The money that once seemed endless now slipped through his fingers like sand. He had spent lavishly, without a thought for the future, and now the future had come knocking. The parties lost their luster, and the laughter died down. The once vibrant gatherings became hollow echoes of their former selves, filled with empty bottles and deflated balloons. He found himself surrounded by strangers, their smiles replaced with cold indifference. The people who once flocked to his side now barely acknowledged his presence. The warmth of his early days was gone, replaced by a chilling wind that pierced his thin clothing. He shivered, not just from the cold, but from the realization of his own folly. With every passing day, the son descended deeper into despair. His once confident stride turned into aimless wandering. His head hung low with the weight of his choices. His clothes became tattered, and his stomach ached with hunger. The meals he once took for granted were now a distant memory, replaced by gnawing emptiness. The friends who had once toasted his extravagance were nowhere to be found. Calls went unanswered, and familiar places felt foreign and unwelcoming. He was alone, lost in a labyrinth of his own making. The bustling city around him felt like a maze, each turn leading to more isolation. The son found himself envying the pigs he was hired to feed. Their simple lives, with food and shelter, seemed like a luxury compared to his own plight. Even they have food and shelter, he thought bitterly. The pigs, oblivious to his suffering, ate contentedly while he watched with a heavy heart. He remembered the abundance of his father's house, the warmth of his family's love. Memories of laughter and comfort flooded his mind, contrasting sharply with his current misery. He had traded it all for a fleeting taste of freedom, only to find himself drowning in the bitter dregs of regret. The choices he made, once seen as liberating, now felt like chains binding him to his sorrow. One day, as the son sat shivering in the cold, a glimmer of hope pierced through his despair. The biting wind seemed to whisper a promise of change, a chance to mend what was broken. He remembered his father's love, the unconditional acceptance that had always been his. Memories of laughter and warmth flooded his mind, reminding him of the home he had left behind. He realized the depth of his mistake, the foolishness of his rebellion. The weight of his choices pressed heavily on his heart, and he felt a deep sense of regret. He had squandered his inheritance, but his father's love remained, a beacon of hope in the darkness. The thought of that unwavering love gave him the courage to consider returning. "I will arise and go to my father," he declared, mustering the last vestiges of his strength. With each step, he felt a mix of fear and hope, unsure of what awaited him. "I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you.'" His voice trembled as he rehearsed the words, hoping they would convey his deep remorse. "I am no longer worthy to be called your son." The shame of his actions weighed heavily on him, making him feel unworthy of his father's love. "Make me like one of your hired servants." Luke 15:18-19. He was willing to accept any position just to be near his father again. He knew he didn't deserve forgiveness, but he clung to the hope of his father's mercy, the hope that perhaps, just perhaps, he could find a place in his father's heart once more. He had made a mistake, a grave one, but he was determined to return home. The journey was long and arduous, but his resolve never wavered. This story, it's not just about a son. It's about all of us. We wander, we fall, but the Father still waits, still watches, still loves. No matter how far you've gone, God is saying, "Come home."